Welcome back, guys. Automotive Inc. I am posting video number 2. That's going to be the eastbound ascent and descent of the Wolf. And the first minute and 40-ish, I hope you enjoyed that. That's just a scenery shot. We got going about 4 o'clock because that is a long drive from on a holiday weekend back in the Denver metro area. And so initially everybody was awake and then everybody was asleep. Of course, I wanted to shoot. Instead, I just shut up, and you can hear the truck doing its thing, working, whatnot, slowing me down, and just some beautiful scenery. If you don't like that, just fast forward to like a minute 42, and then you'll be good to go. Thanks, guys, for watching. Let me know what to think. Welcome back, guys. Automotive Inc. here. We are getting ready to head up the eastbound version of Wolf Creek. Had a great trip. We'll put a link in the description to the actual first video that we did coming out here. It's just going to be one video where we talk about stuff. This one will be eastbound with the run up and over and all of our gas mileage at the end, so you'll want to stay tuned. New to the channel, head down there and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button for me. And I will put a link in there too, guys. I did notice that the TFL guys just finally posted their Gauntlet run. I ran that months ago, guys, with both trucks neck to neck, and they were both my trucks. So you'll want to take a look at that video and that whole series. That was pretty badass. And we also had a battle on the plains that I'll put a link to, which we can watch another series where I actually put these truck to real work, not just one run up and down the test. And the Wolf Creek run is actually a pretty good run because in all reality, that one actually does a lot of switchbacks, cutbacks and stuff, so the truck has to slow down, work, slow down, work, slow down, work. So I think it's actually a little bit more than just a straight shot up a mountain trying to see how fast you can go. So let's keep it real and let's see how she does. All right, guys, and if you did like the beginning part of this video, it's just a sunrise as we cruise through the best part of the Mesa Verde. So as we start going up this, you'll see up there on top of the hill, guys, there is where we're going. Got a lot of climbing to do. So we're right up there on top of the hill. So we're gonna hit the change station here. There's no baseline for timing, so that's useless. Kind of like trying to see how long it takes to get to the top of that gauntlet. Who cares? But I guess that's a thing. But since how they don't do it, I'm not gonna worry about timing it. But look at that shot of nature up there. All right, once we get behind these trees, you can see how the road is up here, and then it just shoots straight up. So pretty wicked run. All right, so see the road way up there, guys? I mean, this is a pretty good climb just from coming out of a valley, and we're just gonna head straight up it. But most of the speed limits are about 65, and it's gonna drop to 45. that's what's cool about this pass, is you can see how windy it is. But I mean, speed limit's only 35, and K.O.N.G is wanting to do 45, so I'm gonna have to actually back off here. And we're gonna hit a 20-mile-an-hour hairpin, and then right back up to the 35, 45.
He's leaning, man. I don't think so.
Kind of the summit. And you know, one thing I will tell you guys, no matter what, the real test of this truck is the temp for the transmission ran about 201 at best. As soon as we crest this, it'll probably drop back to 150. Outside ambient temp is 56. So, and that's always going to help all the temperatures, but the engine temp never moves. It stays right just under the 210 mark. But at the end of the day, you know, the true test is can this truck continue to do the slow down and the speed up, slow down, speed down around all these windy curves and turns and whatnot. And then we'll see how it does going down this hill, maintaining speed. And it's a 45. So, not really worried about brake applications. We didn't have too many going on the other side, but just take a look. This is kind of what the curve signs look like here. So, but we'll get down there and then we'll talk about some other stuff once we get down. Welcome back, guys. Automotive Inc. here. So this morning we went ahead and took the trailer back out to eastern Colorado. So as I've told you guys before, K.O.N.G has basically only been towing since I basically got it. I mean, some commuting to and from work, to and from the gym, but I mean, that's such a short distance. Other than affecting fuel economy, it's really not really doing much of anything. And somebody the other day said that this truck, being in the custom trim level, is a work truck. All of my trucks I'm buying to do work. So even if it's a pretty one or a little bit less equipped one, I don't really care. But what was really nice about this trip was having that 6th seat. So my older kids came with us. We were hoping that my other son was coming down with the other Duramax. They weren't able to make it, but at the end of the day, this truck seats 6. Now, albeit that middle seat is not comfortable for a grown kid, say a grown teenager, 17, 18, not a ton of legroom there. But I would say for a young kid with a young butt that doesn't, you know, get in as much pain as say us old people, it was more than adequate seat. Matter of fact, the kiddo got a kick out of having the little storage place underneath it, even though I have mostly my crap in there that I don't use till winter. It was nice, all right? And the only thing that we had was an issue
with this trim level on this trip was cup holders. There's, for all practical purposes, there's only 2 in the back. There's none in the console back there. There's no flip down, which wouldn't have worked because we had a human there anyway. But limited door storage in the Chevy, but the new 24 up trim ones, they get the newer doors. There's a little bit better storage and stuff like that. So that's merely a custom or an older Chevy issue that I would kind of, I guess, say that I wish it was a little bit better. But all in all, and then charge ports. My truck's supposed to have charge ports back there, and my front ones have quit, so we'll figure that out. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but no charge ports back there. So we usually relegate to a longer cord, or I have battery packs so people can just pull it out of the back of the seat and charge it. So it's not a huge issue. All right, how did the truck do? As you watched in the first video, going up Wolf Creek, I think, is a better test because of all the cutbacks, steep inclines, and stuff like that. Now, this trip alone, I'm looking down right now, 1,100 miles is what we drove towing. That was from Denver to Mancos, Colorado, over like 4 or 5 mountain passes, very little flat driving, and then the trip back out to Eastern Colorado to store the trailers. That's what I'm going to encompass, 1,100 miles. The truck averaged 8.6 miles to the gallon. Now, that was lower, but here's why. One, lots of climbing. And this truck did fine with climbing. Now, the fuel economy, again, between the climbing, we had a lot of stopping and starting, because when we go into the national park, we obviously know there's a lot of places to stop, start, and everything like that. I let the truck run because it was hotter than a biscuit down there. So the truck did stay running, so that's going to affect the overall average. Now, I have checked the, people call it a liometer, but the fuel economy average on this truck is around 0.2 off all the time, if not dead on accurate. Most vehicles I've found would be 0.5 of a mile off, so half of a mile off, which still is more than reasonable. So I've hand calculated everything like that. So 8.6, so if you give or take being accurate, or 0.2, we're still pretty good for having a lot of starting and stopping. In addition, on the way back, and I just left this as an average for the entire trip, guys, we were loaded to the max. So we were probably, with all the adults, all the gear, trailer, loaded, water, everything like that, somewhere probably around 16,000 total. So even though my trailer doesn't weigh all of that, just all the extra stuff we had in here, yeah, about 16,000. And so going into one of the towns, we also encountered an hour-long 7-mile strip. This is typical on Highway 285 in Colorado, especially around Fairplay. They have some construction, where it's just always a mess. So this truck, literally towing, went half a mile an hour for about an hour, so we could get through town. Then after that, it went right back to work. So fuel economy, I think, is plenty passable, especially because what I've encountered in Power Strokes, other Duramaxes pre-24, and Cummins would be the one outlier. Cummins does seem to get a little bit better fuel economy than I think most of them. It did great. Okay, for fuel economy, I'm okay with. I ran 87 fuel. That's the end of that. Towing wise, the truck did excellent. I'm telling you guys, this truck just keeps surprising me every day. I mean, it had no problem keeping up with legal speed limits. There were plenty of times going up the mountain passes where there was a passing lane, and I was actually passing diesels, and they were towing little trailers. So in the park where we stayed, there were a lot of reasonably set up vehicle tows and towing vehicles, meaning a lot of vehicles there were just kind of right sized. But what I did see is a lot of people with 1-ton diesels towing a 7,000-pound towable. I don't have a problem with that. However, it's overkill. So when people are trying to look for an honest review of something, I'm going to give it to you guys. I think any of the gassers out there, you're towing under 12,000, any of the gassers are going to do just fine. So you could go and pick and choose whichever one floats your boat more, equipment-wise, cab size-wise, bed length-wise, whatever. But when everybody just says, well, I'm towing, I have to have a diesel. Well, with engine braking, dynamic grade braking and cruise control, this truck did fantastic. I mean, literally, there was, at no point, there was one turn. There was one point. Coming out of Bailey, Colorado, there's like a hairpin curve in town. It's already a slow 20. Hairpin curve at 10, and then straight up a 7% grade. The truck, and everybody's truck was working, but it was still passing somebody that was towing using a Toyota Highlander to pull like a 8,000 pound trailer. Again, there's different spectrums where people go one way, go with the bare minimum and try and tow more, and there's people that get 1-ton dualies to tow a 7,000 pound trailer. Whatever floats your boat, guys. But for the most part, the truck never struggled. It had more than enough power, and it wasn't noisy. I've heard a lot of people ask, how is the engine noise when it's under load? In the Chevy, you can't hear it. The Godzilla, you could hear it. And I think actually a lot of people enjoy that, the V8 rumble, so and it wasn't bad, it was just, you could hear it. But then when people say, well, my diesel's much quieter, I don't know. All these trucks are super quiet, so I don't really think, that was a big deal. The 10-speed stayed in check the entire time. It wasn't busy. There were opportunities where I decided to play with the shifter and the gear range selector. It did fine for what it was doing, but the transmission does it better without me giving really any input to it. If you tap the brake, it's going to get in. You get into the brakes, it's going to do it more. Everything worked well in the truck, and we are now well into close to 10,000 miles in just a few months. I did have noticed that the TFL finally put up a video the other day about the 10-speed gasser from Chevy, saying now skip 10, save 10 grand, or whatever the hell they said, and get this gasser. I already put this truck to the test, guys. If you're still over at TFL just watching that chicanery, that's okay. But at the end of the day, they got my videos kicked off about the iGauntlet because I ran the 7.3 up it, I ran this truck up it, and then I also took it out on the plains and ran it. But I have literally ran this truck hard for about 10,000 miles just towing. Zero oil consumption. Decent fuel economy. I think it looks good, but if you don't like Chevy looks, you have GMC's version. And the price point, it beats everybody out. This is kind of a work truck, but it has lots of swag in it for this year. Multi-flex tailgate, puck system, bed camera. It has it all. Android Auto, the seats are comfortable. And so they just put their video up saying now you can do it, which they've always kind of, if you watch some of their stuff, which I used to in the past, they leaned always towards Ram and Ford. No problem with that. But I just try and be unbiased on here. And I'm going to tell you what I do like and what I don't like. And usually I find very little to dislike about trucks of this era. They're so nice. But now we've actually taken at least this truck up Wolf Creek Pass, which is, when I was a kid, it was known as Beware of the Wolf. It's just a treacherous thing. And it's a lower speed, but windy, super grady run. But the thing to get to the Wolf Creek Pass is you have to go up pass after pass after pass. You have to cover tons of miles. This truck did fantastic. From Denver all the way up there, it's climbing, period. So I would say it was like several hundred miles of upgrade and then downgrade. By the time we even got to the Wolf, we never even stopped. I mean, the truck just kept running. Temp-wise stayed in check. The transmission, the hottest it got, I think, was 210 or 208. Brake temps, totally in check. No issues. No issues with this truck. Now, would a diesel do a little bit better? Sure. You probably would have zero brake applications in most of those diesels because you have the exhaust brakes. But really, I touched the brakes a couple times going down each grade. If you guys watch my version of the Eisenhower Ike run, I actually proved that this truck could actually be ran just using cruise control all the way back to Denver, Colorado. So they do an 8-mile run. I did 173 that day on mine, and I'll put links into those, and I hope you guys are head on over and check those out. And I'll put my Beast in the East Plains challenge, and then the Battle in the Rockies challenge. Those are several version series, and there is a version, a first part going westbound over there. We have some really cool footage, and you can kind of see the westbound run up it. And then we'll have the eastbound version, which is this one. I'll put a lot of links in there. And I'm all about, again, just trying to give you guys information, trying to be honest and not be one side or the other. I want to be objective to everything. And when you're looking at buying a heavy duty truck, if you're under 12, I would say At 16, 17, this truck does pretty darn good. At 18, 19, I think you're kind of pushing the cusps of, you probably should look for a diesel just because it will do better at those higher weights. Until they put some type of turbo on one of these or a supercharger, I think you know, at those weights going up those grades, it's going to get it done. But it could be better. And at that point, yeah, I think just to work it less. But guys, again, we're 10,000 miles, 0 rattles, not one issue other than the USBs, and I don't know what the heck's going on with that. The trucks perform great, and like I said, unfortunately, it went right into service as towing. It didn't get a break-in like the Godzilla did, and then the Godzilla kind of flopped, and then all the Godzillas I've tried to buy since then are on recall stop. So, you know, at the end of the day, whether you're a Ram fan, you like the Hemi, or you like the Godzilla, or you like the new 6.8, I think anything under 16, 17,000 pounds, and this thing's rated 18.5. I'd love to get it under that, although I can tell you at 16, 17 and a half, it's starting to show that this truck would have its limitations. But gosh, what would you guys be towing at that weight? And especially when you're doing it recreationally or you don't drive it enough to justify a diesel. And now that fuel prices are going back up, I don't know, guys. I think that the 24 Chevy with the 6.6 gas is the best gasser on the market right now. Whether you're a fan of Chevy or Chevy, you hate the looks, again, you have a GMC version of it. If you hated the Ram, you don't have another version to get that setup if you like the drivetrain, so you're going to have to get a Ram. And I think until Ram steps up and gives us a real crew cab, so you don't have to go mega, and then their payloads are wonky versus what they can tow, you know, I think this truck being able to tow 18.5, not that you would want to, having the ability to, just makes it really nice. And at the end of the day, it's so stable down the road. I mean, going around those curves and the top heaviness of the trailer, you just don't notice with this. The suspension, it wasn't on the Timberlands, but the suspension's just robust. The steering's tight. It seems to get more dialed in the more weight you put on it, the more you want to tow with it. And that has a lot to do with it. Or not just the power. Oh, can it go up the hill at 60? Who can get up the hill in 8 seconds? Who gives a shit? At the end of the day, you need to get up the hill. 1, safe, not be a traffic hazard. 2, you got to know your brakes are good and not creating heat. 3, stability. Because I'm telling you, you go 100 mile an hour, and if you're stable, you could feel like you're perfectly fine to do anything. You're undefeatable. But if you get up there and you have this weight and you have all the power and it's soggy and scary, well, then that's going to play into stress and you know, you wearing out as a driver. Could I set in this truck and drive? Well, I just did it. I just drove 1,100 miles, and I still have another 200 to get back to Denver. 1,100 miles in basically 3 days. My back doesn't hurt. I didn't feel like at any time I was having to keep both hands on the steering wheel and freaking out. Everybody had a comfortable ride. And that right there means all-around pickup. I think this one wins. And and at the end of the day, again, I love my Godzilla. And I still like Ram. I like the Ram interiors and stuff like that. So again, it all just depends. And I think if you're under 8, you go get any one of these trucks, any one of these gassers. You're gonna pay a little bit more in gas. You're gonna or not having as good as fuel economy. Maybe not resale, but most of these guys say, "Well, I'm gonna keep my truck for 400,000 miles." I doubt it, but you know, if you do, then then get the diesel if that is the case. Because I don't think there's any data to suggest that these trucks won't last with proper maintenance. So that is my take on the wrap up of the Wolf, guys. Again, check out my other videos about towing up the K.O.N.G or the Eisenhower Tunnel, the same one that the test that those other guys run. Check out my Beast of the East, the Plains Challenge. I've put these trailers all over, and between the two, like they tow 7 minutes up a hill with a trailer that's maybe close to somebody's max. I towed 13,000 miles this summer and put it on footage for you guys with these gassers. And other than the Ford having the issue, I still think that Godzilla is a banging motor. But at the end of the day, I put the miles on it. I've showed you guys these trucks can handle it. They can do it. They can get her done. You can save yourself $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. And when you go into the dealer, you can even barter with them saying, "Hey man, nobody wants this gasser. That's why it's still sitting here, and your diesels are sold off the lot. Maybe they make you even a better deal. There's deals to be had, and that way you can go out and feel confident knowing that these trucks will get it done. You don't need to freak out or go up to a diesel and put in all the extra maintenance, all the extra issues, and then not be able to idle it. So again, check out those links, guys. And if you know anybody that's interested in content like that, please invite them over to the channel to at least subscribe. It helps me out, helps out everything like that. A lot of my how-to videos, if you guys need, specialty tools or whatever, I'll put links and all those things so that way you guys can find them and everything like that. So again, the button to subscribe is down there or here or whatever. I don't remember. And the thumb up button is just to the right of the play pause button. So hit me that. And guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I appreciate you guys being here. Have a blessed day, and we'll see you on the next